Call the meeting to order. Please rise and join me in the pledge on the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Abbott.
Here.
Bowers.
Here.
Fuller.
Present.
Haines.
Here.
Danby.
Here. Beth, would you please read the procedure for remote access and tell us who is joining us remotely?
Remote access to select board meetings, while not required by law, is offered in order to encourage access and participation for as many of our town citizens as possible. It is understood that a select board meeting is a meeting open to the public, but not a public meeting per se. Business is conducted and votes are cast by board members. Therefore, public attendees, in person or remote, who wish to comment on an agenda action item when it is addressed in the course of the meeting, should indicate such intention during the public comment period at the beginning of the meeting. To maintain order as well as the efficiency of the meeting, the rules for remote attendee participation are: remote attendees will be muted by online host upon joining the meeting, remaining so unless recognized to speak. Intention or desire to speak in order to comment or ask questions will be indicated by use of the hand-raising function of the remote platform. People will be recognized in the order in which the hand-raising function is activated. Online host will alert the chair to the presence of remote questions or comments. Remote participants, when recognized, will unmute their device and identify themselves with clearly spoken first and last name. Comment or question will be limited to 2 to 3 minutes, after which participant will be muted. This time limit will apply to in-person participants as well. General ground rules concerning decorum remains the same as that which is expected of citizens, guests, and board members attending in person. Namely, the speaker will not be interrupted and will not interrupt other speakers. The speaker will treat the proceedings and other speakers with dignity and respect, addressing the issue and not personalities. And we will review procedures for this online platform at the beginning of each meeting, which we have done. The people we have right now are online: Doug White, Gary Durr, Lauren Dever, Bill Richardson, Sharon White, Annette Smith, Chris Hardaway, and Renata Aylward.
How do you spell that?
Aylward, and it's Renata.
That's the whole. So, what we do.
And Terry Parker.
We had discussed that before.
One more personal.
Okay.
And in our audience, we have
3 to 4.
live Dan Garceau and Will Greer.
Greer.
Adding to the agenda under Treasurer's Report, we need a brief executive session. And if there are any other additions, if not, I'll entertain a motion to
I'll make the motion
set
as
the
amended.
agenda.
I'll second it.
Okay, made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, now we'll move into public comment, and we have Will Greer here as a guest this evening. And are you going to talk?
Do you want me closer to the microphone?
Where's a good microphone for him?
Well,
Where he is good for the things.
Okay, just let me know.
I think if you speak up, you'll be heard on both
Okay, perfect. So
situations.
Okay, so thank you, members of the Danby Select Board, for letting me speak tonight. My name is Will Greer. I'm a field organizer with Flavors Hood Kids Vermont. We're a nonprofit that's currently sharing information about tobacco prevention efforts that are going around the state. And I have a specific ask and consideration that I hope you all will make tonight. To put your mind at ease though, it is not a budget related request because I know money is tight everywhere. So don't worry about that. But first I wanted to share a few statistics, and I'm going to read them off so I don't get them wrong, about how serious the issue with tobacco prevention and tobacco control is in Vermont. So currently right now, 28% as of 2022 of Vermont youth use smoking or e-cigarette products, and a third of those youth use those e-cigarette products on a daily basis. So about a tenth of all Vermont kids use some kind of cigarette product daily. And then 90% of those youth cite flavors as the main driver to their frequent usage. And the reason I wanted to emphasize that is because we're seeing that is the main driver to the increase of cigarette use since 2015. And so right now the legislature is working to end the sale of these products. And there was a poll back in December that showed that 68% of Vermonters support this idea. And I hope that that's good news, but we also want to hear from communities that usually don't have their voices heard as often, which is typically in the more rural areas. And so that's why I'm coming to places like Danby, because I think that these voices are important. So we're working with organizations across the state. We have over 50 organizations that have signed on to our letter with Flavors for Kids Vermont to try and convince the legislature to seriously consider this and make an effort to really work on tobacco control. So just in addition to educating the public about this risk to public health, Danby would be part of another network of smaller towns that have signed on and that are looking to sign on. And so that's my ask for you tonight is I will send you all the information, I'm assuming through your clerk, for you all to review what our organization stands for and everything that we're doing right now. But at the very least, thank you for letting me talk. I hope that you guys will consider, and hopefully at your next meeting, if you feel this is a worthy cause, we'll support it. And I look forward to coming back at some point to Danby. So thank you for letting me speak and promoting this issue to the public. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
Do we have anybody remotely that would like to address us?
Annette had her hand raised, so let's see if we can get her on here. Annette, can you unmute yourself? There you go.
This is Annette Smith. I'd like to ask about the tree cutting on Tinmouth Pond Road. I don't imagine that it's intended to leave the stumps 4 or 5 feet tall forever, but people are asking me about it, and it's pretty ugly, so I'm just wondering what the plan is.
There's a very good reason, and I'll let Steve tell you.
I figured there would be one.
The reason behind that is because when the ground is not frozen, we plan on coming in and stumping that out. And if we leave the stumps high, that will give our little machine leverage on the stumps to where we're not putting as much stress on the machine trying to clean them out. That way we can maintain the ditch better.
Got it, thank you. I figured it was either that or barbed wire. The other comment I have about it is that there's been a road closed until we're done sign up at the entrance there for at least a couple of weeks, and it's been a little confusing for people because they assume the road is closed, and we didn't get mail one day and the carriers said they couldn't get through. So I don't, it would be better not to have the sign there all the time if you're not working.
The sign itself says road closed from 1-2 until completion between the hours of 7:30 to 1:30. That way people who travel that road could read it and know that there's going to be potential for the road closure so they can plan accordingly. It's not simply a road closed sign, it does have other information on it.
Right, it just gives the impression the road's closed, so I hear you're trying to let people I found it hard to read, and so to me it said road closed until we're done. I don't know, I think you might think of a different way to do it. But so you are closing the road?
what we're doing is we're putting road closed signs up to hopefully keep the larger vehicles from coming up that road, because on Route 7 we also put a sign down there that says no through trucks, and we're letting all the vehicles through that come to us, but we're trying to maintain it so that there's more safety for us and the traveling vehicles, because when I have the dump truck and the chipper parked in the road, there's not a lot of room to get by it. And sometimes it's nice when I don't have to be looking both directions to make sure there's not a car coming when I'm dropping a tree across the road.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the explanation. That helps a lot, and I'm quite fine with keeping the trucks off the road. It's been nice and quiet. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
Nobody here. I do have a question for Mr. Greer, though, and that is, when you're defining youth, is it below 18 years of age or
I believe those specific ones were 12 to 17.
12 to 17?
Yeah,
Okay.
they don't define it clearly in general, but I believe that statistic was 12 to 17. The reason I say that was because I looked at it today.
Oh, okay.
On accident. I wasn't even meaning to look at
Okay.
it. But I'm pretty
Thank
sure
you.
it's 12 to
Isn't it already state law that they can't purchase it till they're 21?
Yep, so we do have a T21 program, so about 24, 25 states follow the T21 guidelines, but there are currently 5 states, I believe, that have fully banned tobacco products, flavored tobacco products, which includes menthol. And we've seen a significant decrease in youth consumption in those states, not in the states necessarily that follow T21. I should say there's been a decrease in both, but we see a more drastic decrease in the ones that are banned.
So I have a question, to follow up on Steve's question. Where are they purchasing this if it's against the law at that age to get it?
Right, so primarily the biggest driver are, and this is pretty sad, but parents and older siblings are kind of a gateway into them starting, because they'll have them in the homes, they'll let them use them. We've had stories of children 6 and 7 years old currently that are starting e-cigarettes and having to go into prevention treatment, and then they are 13, 14 and then start again. So there's some really sad stories out there. The other one, of course, is school. You have people that will trade them in bathrooms and classrooms under lunch counters and all that. So there's different avenues, but the primary one is at home, and then the secondary is at school. And I think that would be, so, yeah.
But this age group at school is a 21 purchase for tobacco, so.
Right, so I don't know exactly, I haven't traced it that far down. I'm sure someone has, but from what we know is that older students can give them to younger ones. And then if those older students have a sibling or a parent that is able to purchase them, and they get them from the home. And of course there is black market sale, but that actually makes up a much smaller percentage than most people realize. I didn't realize, I want to say it's like, I don't even want to say an exact percentage, just throw you off, but I know it's lower than I had expected it to be.
And it's Flavors Hook Kids Vermont.
I know, it's a tricky name. You're not the first person. Even I had trouble with it, so that makes you feel better.
And that's what your group is targeting right now, is the flavored.
Yep, and the one reason why menthol's included in that is because in places that have just banned flavored tobacco, menthol's become the #1 substitute and almost makes it nil difference. But
Interesting.
So they're also breaking the law about tobacco. on
yes,
school.
and I think that's also another point to bring up. We're not trying to perpetuate like consumer blame, because addiction is a problem in and of itself. Of course, you have laws and you have to follow the laws. But what we're really trying to do is push producer responsibility and holding producers to account when they're selling these products. So no one will go to jail or anything like that if they're caught on the street smoking a cigarette. That's not our intention or anything.
Any other public comment? I'll entertain a motion to adopt the minutes of the select board meeting of December 14th, 2023.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Seconded. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Next, I need a motion to appoint Kenneth G. Abbott as Danby Town Forest Fire Warden.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, and I will pass this around for signatures. And now we are ready for that moment of the treasurer's report.
Are we gonna do the executive session first so we can discuss
I'm sorry,
that?
yeah, okay, I'll entertain a motion
I'll
for
make the motion.
executive session. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. What time?
7:16.
7:16. Okay, we're back at 7:27.
Here, take one of these and pass it down. Me? Okay. So I have been working with Dave at M&T about the treasury bills for investing. At the last meeting, we talked about doing $500,000 for a 3-month treasury bill, and then $500,000 for a 6-month treasury bill. In your packets, starts out with notes, is the current rates for the treasury bills. And the sheet that I just sent to you shows what the percent would be for 3 months and 6 months.
So you're asking if you want us, or if you were asking about 3-month or a 6-month, or, I mean, I'm wondering if we,
I thought last time we agreed that we were going to consider putting 500,000 in each, a 3-month and a 6-month.
Yes.
and those are good rates. Yeah.
Before I send it.
But it's looking
before, I
like
just
the
wanna make
3 months
sure
is
we're
even
all on the
better.
same page.
I think you're doing fine, Jen.
That looks good. Unless we can get Steve to give us more on that rate.
I think Jen's doing fine.
I just wanted to, was there any questions on that? Okay, I just wanted to mention, I touched base with the guy about the dust stickers. He sent me pictures. He mentioned the blue is kind of dark and we might want to change the blue one. So I'm going to see what the red sticker looks like. Just so you know, they're in the works and for reprinting for next week.
And that's the size of them, or you do them for us? They're that size.
I think they're this size.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just for us blind people.
Yes. I think that's all I have.
Okay, so then next I would entertain a motion to adopt the proposed budget for fiscal year 2025 in the amount of $874,234.
That's the wrong number, Brad.
Oh, sorry about that.
This is how it's worded in there. Here's the little line, and here's what the numbers are, see?
Oh, we were just doing ours, yeah.
So, I will entertain a motion to adopt the budget for the fiscal year 2025 at $1,370,835 for expenses and an amount of $1,107,325 to be raised by taxes.
Can you repeat that?
For fiscal year 25, expenses in the amount of $370,835. 1,370,835. And to be raised by taxes for fiscal year 25, $1,107,325.
Which is a 3.4% increase, if that's,
3.4.
which my math came up with, about 3.34.
Right, because
Haines.
actually number changed. Yep.
Oh, I
Go
got
ahead.
the wrong number.
And like, since I just like entered this in, and it's kind of a quick thing, I would like to review it, and if I find any errors, I'd like to be able to come back to the board and let you guys know, so we can.
And so let's add to the motion, subject to the review of the treasurer.
Okay, and can you just say the final number again? 1,007,000.
The part by taxes,
Yeah.
$1,107,325. 1,107,325.
And then with the with Jen's stipulation.
Subject to the review of the treasurer.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
So I need someone to move that motion and someone to second it, please.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Abbott, seconded by Haines. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
So this is tentatively the number that will be put on the ballot for the vote at town meeting.
And please review, and if you guys find any mistakes, please let me know so I can correct it. I'll send it.
Yeah, I mean, how are we gonna deal if we see this? I mean, the numbers were the numbers. What is your concern that we,
Maybe I entered in a number wrong, or.
okay,
Yeah,
no,
or I didn't get all the changes.
Okay. Next, I'll entertain a motion to ratify the union contract, and to speak to that.
it's Brad Bender.
The highlights of the contract are: the duration of the agreement shall be January 1, 2024, and shall continue in effect through December 31st, 2026, and remain in effect from year to year until the parties enter into a new agreement. There was a change in section 502, which is retirement. The town agrees to continue the existing simple IRA plan and annually contribute the following percentages as outlined below. C, effective January 1, 2024, the town will contribute 7% of an employee's salary to the plan. That's up 1% from 6% previously. Section 505, personal leave. Employees may take personal leave for any reason in accordance with the following accrual plan. 2 years employment or less is 4 days. 10 years of employment is 5 days, and 15 years of employment is 6 days. G, employees denied personal leave during the year will then be allowed to roll over such into the following year. Section 506, vacation. Employees are eligible for paid vacation days according to the following accrual plan. Length of service: 6 months but less than 1 year of service, 1 week. 2 years, 2 weeks. 5 years, 3 weeks. 10 years, 4 weeks. 1 day a year up to 15 years, 5 weeks per year. Section 601, rate of pay. Effective January 1, 2024, there shall be a 4.0 wage increase over the January 1, 2023 wage for employees.
4%.
4%, that's what I said.
Oh, I thought you said 4.00.
No, I said 4.0, so 4%. Wages for employees in the bargaining unit. Effective January 1, 2025, there will be a 3% wage increase. Effective January 1, 26, there will be a 3% wage increase. Wages shall be as follows. Assistant Town Clerk, wage increase of $1 per hour before the 4% takes effect in 2024. Dump attendant wage of $1 before the 4% takes effect on 2024. A boot allowance for the Highway Department of $250 a year. Highway Department summer hours for 10-hour days off on Friday. Highway Department winter hours 6 to 2:30, half a day on Friday. So that is, in a nutshell, the changes in the agreement.
I make the motion, we
Ratify.
ratify the new contract.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Yes.
I just wanted to mention in section 502, it says simple IRA plan. That is not what we currently have. We have a 457 plan.
So did they want to change?
They didn't want to change. I think that was just an error, right? I mean, no one wanted to go to a simple.
We can't go to a simple, but I didn't know if we had to change that.
Yeah, that's just an error on whoever wrote that.
Okay.
A plan is a plan, basically, anyways, but
Thank you for pointing that out. So, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
That was the next question I was gonna ask. Okay, so we have 4 in favor, and I will, we have to sign like 7 of these, so they're coming around.
Times like this would be easier if you sat at this chair.
Probably.
As long as our mileage ain't changed,
No.
then I would say we're good to sign it.
Holy crap, how many do they need?
Seven or eight.
Well,
Sign it.
I think we should just,
Some nights you need a stamp.
so they know.
Yeah.
Okay, then the next item on the agenda would be to sign the certificate of highway mileage for the year ending February 10th, 2024. and nothing has changed on the mileage, so
I'll make the motion that we sign it.
I'll second it.
motion is made and seconded. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So here we go, a little more signing.
It's only one signature, ain't it? Or is it?
No, it's got 5 spaces here. And then the town clerk also has to sign it. And while that's going around, I will entertain a motion to approve a fleet permit for Barrett Trucking.
I'll make the motion.
Well, don't all do it at once. And so, clerk, I'll let you just.
Whatever you want to put there.
Everyone,
Powers, seconded by.
There we go. All those in favor, say aye.
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 That's my salt trucker. You're not shutting them down.
Go in here, I guess it doesn't matter, huh?
Anywhere, one of them ones.
Yeah.
Be passed around.
These are ready for you, Jen.
So there's that. And then we have the Bridge 7 project. I think everybody's been
all right, so,
loop on that.
yeah, I mean, I think everyone here read the email, but just for the public, the state came back to us, Bridge 7 is the first one up from Easy Street on the Brook Road. And the state had come to us and wanted to replace that, was it a year ago now?
About a year ago.
Yeah. And we were gonna go with a rehab. They actually recommended a rehab at the time, and we felt comfortable with the rehab. And they had just sent us a thing saying now they're not recommending a rehab. They would rather go with a new bridge. The increased cost, do you have a copy of the email? On the bridge, if we go from a rehab to a full replacement, our share would go from 2.5% to 5%. And the cost of the bridge would go, and these are engineers' estimates, which I feel could be low, from 2.1 million to 3.1 million. So the town's share would go from 52,500 to 155,000. Of course, they're saying that the design life is going to be longer in a new bridge as opposed to the bridge that's already 100 and something years old. It's doing pretty good. But the good news is I don't think we really need to jump right out and get back to them. I think our best bet is we should invite them to a board meeting in the next couple meetings and discuss this with them, because there's questions like you had about straightening it and, you know, maybe some of these other things before we just jump out and say that we want to spend an extra $100,000.
Well, if we're gonna spend the extra $100,000, we really need to do more work to it than just replacing it.
Right. Yeah. No, meaning the straightening of it.
Meaning
Yeah.
straightening and fixing it.
Yeah. No, and I think that's what everybody's.
Gotta make the road safer.
Right.
Yeah. No, and yeah, I think that's the thing is it's a hard sell to put 155,000, which is going to be 200,000 out of our pocket into that without it being really, really right. Because we have 6 others on that road, I'm guessing, since that's that all are about the same vintage. So that's the input on that.
The road's getting more and more traffic.
Yeah. No.
So that is, they anticipate advertising it in July of '26 and construction beginning in '27.
I would think if we get them at a spring meeting, we could discuss it with them. I mean, those dates are,
So,
Dan,
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but when they did High Bridge, I was on the board, I don't think High Bridge cost that much.
That's Bidenomics for you.
Didn't cost anywhere near that much. And it's a much bigger project. And I recall, I think we put, the town's portion was $90,000, $95,000 at High Bridge.
What was that, 10 years ago now?
And that was,
Probably not even quite.
and that was ripping the whole thing out.
Huh?
That was ripping the whole thing out.
Yeah, but that's what they're talking
That's
about.
what they had done. They took the whole thing out and it didn't cost us anywhere near what this is costing.
Well, and the thing is, these are the state's engineers' estimates, and bridges have gone through the roof. The rebar, the concrete, I mean, just bridge crews, prices have gone up that much in the last 5 years.
Bidenomics, huh?
So shall we invite Adam to the April?
All right. Our other projects have been the brush cutting that Steve has been doing a great job on. And other than plowing crap and ice and that's probably our goal is when, and it doesn't look good for a little bit, is obviously it's brush cutting season for us. So these guys have been jumping out, trying to get as much of it cut as they can.
Been good weather for it, because we haven't had any snow on the ground.
Right. But obviously plowing and keeping the trucks maintained is our other projects. And that's, like you said, it could snow every day or it could. Go ahead, hand raiser.
Do you have a truck update?
Oh, Steve, do you have a
Never
truck?
mind, would you? You don't have to rub salt in no wound.
As a resident, I would like to commend the road crew for a job well done.
Thank you.
And we have trees in the brook discussion here.
Yes.
There was 4 or 5 that you thought were something that we should address.
Well, I think there's more than 4 or 5, but we have, from the High Bridge down to the village, there's several areas that I've seen with trees in the brook that I think could be a potential for problem, either for ice jams or holding back sediment and creating a dam, not even a dam, but like a water turn that would bring the water back towards the town road. And I think that we need to start addressing that this summer to where we can, more than likely, I'm gonna say we should put it out to bid and have somebody go up through there and cut the trees in like 4 to 6 foot sections. That's one of the approved methods that the state will allow us to do, because they won't, as a general rule, they won't let us go in there and with a machine and just remove the trees, but we can cut them and leave them.
So we can't.
So cut them right in the river.
Cut them right in the river and leave them.
But if you cut them in a river and leave them, aren't they potential plug?
They're gonna go down to Tommy in the bridge. But the theory being that if we remove them, we're taking habitat or potential habitat out of the brook for fish, and if we cut them and the water moves them, then some of them will end up on the bank, some will end up just on the edge of the stream, and some go down. Now, the other option would be to talk with Josh and find out how many of those we can remove. And we can remove a certain amount from brooks without a permit, but by the time we start and go up through there, and people are gonna see it happening, and I'd rather make sure we talk with Josh first.
Yeah.
That makes sense, because you're dealing with the state on the water.
When I was on the select board, I brought that up as well. Yeah, those trees need to come out of that brook. No, you can't take the trees out of the brook, you gotta protect the fish, but you can allow the trees to take the road out, that's okay.
Well, the last time I talked with Josh, and this was the bridge just below Roger Brumley's road, we had 3 trees that were wedged under it. And he said, absolutely, if you know that it's going to cause an issue, remove them. So I know that he is on board with protecting the road, but I still want to make sure we do the right thing. Because right now on Fox Cobble, there's 3 trees just above the bridge that if we get a cold winter, there's a potential for an ice jam like Ken's dad had to fix for us 6 years ago. And I'd like to eliminate it.
Well, it wasn't at one point, they did get an estimate on removing some of those trees? I know that wouldn't be any good anymore, but that might be a,
There was an estimate, if I remember right. I want to say it was right before I got on the board.
because I know.
Think of the number of trees that have changed.
Yeah.
And more than likely it will be a high number.
Yeah.
Yeah, that probably.
Well,
will
obviously
change
we
after
wanna,
July.
Keep the trees from tangling up at our bridges.
Right.
And it's something we've got to look at. Obviously, we don't have anything budgeted for it, but
You lose one bridge. You got-
right, but I'm just saying that we might be able to go in and
Right,
get the
well,
worst
yeah.
of them.
Yeah, you know, but you lose one bridge on the Brook Road, that's a lot of money, and then the traffic that you're gonna put on Danby Hill Road,
Yep.
that, you know, definitely.
And there's 1 or 2 places that there's potential that, I'm not gonna say it would take a house out, but you know, it would take somebody's backyard out down through there.
I'm not a real fan of leaving them sitting in the river, but
Neither am I, but I don't know if I can get anybody to give me permission to paddle an excavator up the brook and,
yeah, but couldn't we cable them out of there with a winch? If you were to go in and cut them and cable them?
I would wanna talk with Josh to make sure.
I think that's probably, and I know the weather's not going to be conducive to go looking anywhere other than from a car on that, but we should probably identify some that we want to ask him about, and then maybe we can figure a plan from there, because if he says no, we're kind of screwed at that point anyways.
Just get Tom to get the old P&H out, he'll take care of it.
Yep.
There you go.
Could you clarify for everybody exactly who Josh is?
Josh Carvajal is what we call the fishy guy.
He's works for the state of Vermont,
Is he
and
fishing game?
No.
No,
No.
fish, rivers. So anytime
Waterways.
there's
Yeah.
anything to do with a bridge.
he's an
or-
engineer and works for the
He's an
state of
engineer.
Vermont.
There you go.
That environmental conservation end of it, I believe.
Is he in Montpelier or does he live around here? What?
No, he's the whole
I don't know
state,
where he
right?
lives, but
But-
this
okay.
is his district.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
You know him, he knows you.
Oh, we've dealt with him
You're all
for
on a
years.
first name basis.
Was he
Okay.
involved when we were looking at revitalizing the shortcut road?
Oh, he
Yes.
did look at the, where
Yes,
it washed
he
one time.
looked at that. He's been with us since before Irene, and that was what, 12 years ago?
All right. So our plan will be try to identify him
The
and
plan will be is I will call Josh probably next week and just touch base with him, see when be good for him to come up and us just take a ride in a truck and say,
yeah,
this is what I've got going on, and
that definitely would be our first thing, because once we got permission, then we can figure out if we got the money or if we can get Mike and Steve and Kenny to volunteer the time.
You don't have enough else to do, right?
Don't you have
Pretty sure,
don't you
Tom.
have an arch with a winch on your tractor?
I do, but I think you're pretty good with that old crane.
What about a log truck?
log truck couldn't get to a lot of them.
Not close enough.
Skidder with a cable would work good too.
Skidder would work good on some of them.
You know, if you bought a bigger loader to help hold the crane down, it'd be better.
Yep.
A lot of this is secondary flood damage in a way, to my thinking, in the fact that it destabilizes the bank, then all these trees come out of the bank and then fall in the brook. Is there money available from the state having to do with that? And should we potentially stick an application
Well, I guess we
in?
would have to identify that it actually happened during the flood, because some of these trees go back, a lot of years being there, so.
Well, even the Irene time, I mean, all of that has, it's kind of a domino
Yeah.
effect of.
I think the biggest thing we need is just to make sure we can get the permission needed to, we'll figure it from there. Can we burn them in the river?
A lot of diesel fuel to get them started.
No, I'm just thinking about possible monies available to deal with such things. Josh will know.
Josh will know. He's
All
very good
right.
about that. Okay, anything else under roads? How about any old business? We'll move on to new business, and we were very proactive here. Everybody
Signed our select board
signed the
letter.
select board letter that will go on the town report, recapping what was accomplished this year. And is there any other new business? I don't hear any, so then I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
7:58.
I'll make the motion.
58. Motion by Fuller, is there a second?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
The meeting is adjourned.